Hello, everybody. We're going to get started in just a minute or two. I know it's 12 right now, but we got some other people joining the waiting room, so we're going to give them a minute to get in here and get settled, and we'll get started in just a minute. If you're having any issues, just use the chat box there, and we'll try to get any problems you're having addressed. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for joining us. My name is Chris Vonamy. I am the Deputy Director for the DuPage County Stormwater Management Department. And we are here for a water quality outreach webinar where we will be talking about celebrating 50 years of the Clean Water Act and the various things you can do to improve water quality in your community. The webinar will highlight best practices to help improve local waterways and discuss ways to get involved through events such as the Pumpkin Smash and the Cooking Oil Collection after Thanksgiving. This is a free webinar, and one PDH, one professional development hour, will be made available for your participation. We have several of these workshops throughout the year. We find they are a great way to connect like-minded individuals and organizations who are concerned with the water quality in our lakes, rivers, and streams in and around DuPage County. These workshops are part of our public outreach and education programs. They help us meet requirements in our permit with the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. The webinar is being recorded, so if you know of others that can't be with us this afternoon that might benefit from this information, we will provide a link to the recorded presentation shortly following the program. A couple quick thank yous before we begin. Thanks to Mary Mitros. Mary is our Stormwater Communications Supervisor. She set up this webinar and lined up our speaker for today's program. And speaking of our speaker, this afternoon we have Kay McKeen from SCARCE. So thank you, Kay, for being with us this afternoon. And once again, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. And before we begin, just a couple other quick announcements. Celebrating 50 years of the Clean Water Act, I guess it's safe to say that the Clean Water Act has entered middle age. I am also middle-aged, and the best part about being 50 or older is that I did most of my stupid stuff before cell phones, the internet, social media, and all the other video evidence. But in all seriousness, there are three things that happen as we get older. The first is that our memory starts to go, and the other two, I really can't remember. So anyway, before I turn things over to Kay, I want to remind everyone that you're muted. If you do have comments or questions during the presentation, please type those directly into the chat box, and we will relay those on to Kay at the end of her presentation. One other thing, I don't think we're going to be sharing Kay's screen, and so it may be easier to view the presentation if you go up into the upper right-hand corner of your screen and click that view option. You can select speaker. I think if you select speaker instead of gallery, that is going to give you a better viewing option of the presentation. Give it a try anyway. All right, so let me introduce our speaker, Kay McKeen. Kay is the founder and executive director of SCARCE, an award-winning environmental education nonprofit in its 32nd year. She is also the recipient of many awards such as Illinois Recycler of the Year, and has been featured on many media outlets, including NBC Evening News, the Weather Channel, ABC, WGN, WBBM News Radio, as well as a monthly radio show on WDCB. She has worked closely with legislators and the Illinois Environmental Council to advance Illinois' environmental protections. Kay is a founding member of the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition. She is also the author of Illinois' composting law and initiated special composting events such as the Pumpkin Smash. Last year, she was chosen to serve on the Illinois Materials Management Advisory Council and then nominated to be co-chair of the Education and Outreach Committee of that council. Kay has over 32 years of experience educating people of all ages on reducing, composting, recycling, resource conservation, and serving the community as an environmental advocate and advisor. Through her passion and knowledge, she has guided many schools, organizations, municipalities to make sustainable and healthy changes that continue to help our planet, wildlife, and communities to thrive. So with that, I also want to say Kay is a great friend of our program, our whole stormwater management program and team. So we're very happy Kay is with us. Mary, please turn it over to Kay for her presentation.
Hi, everybody. I am thrilled to be with you today. It's such an important time, 50 years of celebrating the Clean Water Act. You know, our country was really the first country in the entire world to have laws written about protecting our water quality. The first one was in 1948. So we have a long history of knowing that water is a deep concern for everybody on the planet. So yeah, SCARCE is in our 32nd year, and we are thrilled to partner with DuPage County and the Stormwater Committee and Department. We have lots of different projects that we do together, so I'm really grateful to be here today. I thought this cartoon was really great. I remember being in 4th grade learning that we had lakes under the ground and they were called aquifers, and the teacher would get up with blue chalk and make a big huge lake under the ground, and that was our groundwater. And of course, we know that's not the same anymore. And I kept wondering, if we're 75%, which is what they used to say, 75% water on our planet, how come we aren't planet water? So now Bufo has his own cartoon talking about why aren't we planet water. We go all over the universe looking for water, and here we have this great abundance of this incredible resource right here for us to protect and use. So everybody is concerned about clean water. It's almost in the news every single day, whether it's flooding, whether it's lead pipes, whether it's hurricanes, the cost of water. There's so much information out there about water. I think everybody truly believes that we want to have clean water and that we have a responsibility to take care of that water. So the Clean Water Act, it did a lot of things. It said that we have to give money to make our water sanitary treatment centers, build them and help them to clean our water better than they were able to do. It said that we have responsibilities as businesses not to put chemicals into our rivers and streams. We had to monitor those things. We came up with total maximum daily loads, and we came up with all kinds of standards to say that the water can be clean enough for swimming and for fishing, recreation, and for our health. For us as individuals, there's that whole responsibility of non-point source pollution. Businesses or industry, different things could be a point source pollution, such as an oil leak under the ocean, under the Gulf of Mexico. That would be a point source pollution, but ours, non-point source pollution, is the things that we do every day in our own homes, in our own backyards, under our cars when things leak. Those kinds of things are things we're going to talk about today. So when we partner with DuPage County Stormwater Department, Mary came up with this beautiful flag that businesses and schools and churches and park districts and libraries can earn. And it's about watersheds. And we have 3 main watersheds here in DuPage County. That's why there's 3 waves. So we have the east branch of the DuPage, the west branch of the DuPage, and of course, Salt Creek. Those are the 3 main watersheds that we have in DuPage County. There's lots of little ones that flow into those. And that's what that flag is showing you. So when we're working with the Stormwater Department, we're working a lot on the education for teachers, students, scouts, churches, businesses, park districts, and libraries. So in this picture, we're showing teachers learning about those groundwater flow models. So teachers can check out our groundwater flow models. We have workshops on those, and then they can better explain that to their students. When we're recycling the right kind of items, every time you recycle the right items, you're saving water and you're protecting water quality. And then we have special events in the spring, honoring all the resources that we should be protecting and conserving. So the Great Lakes, we are really fortunate where we live. The Great Lakes, the 5 Great Lakes, make up 1/5, 20 to 21% of the entire world's surface fresh water, which is, we are so lucky to be right here with that 20 to 21% of the world's surface fresh water. But with that, good luck comes a great responsibility to use that water wisely and to keep it as clean as possible and even make it better. We, as understanding that we have 1/5 of the world's surface fresh water, we have to understand that Americans are just less than 5% of the world's population. So together with Canada, which is less than 1%, with our 5%, we're less than 6% of the entire world's population, but we have 1/5 of the world's surface fresh water right here at our back door. That responsibility is huge, and generations from now will thank us for the work that we're doing today. Some communities are trying to teach people about watersheds. We're doing that a lot here in DuPage County, but some communities even have billboards now, kind of reminding you, people have not heard that word watershed. We of course use it all the time in the work that we do, but a lot of residents have not heard that word. So when you have signs, Walnut Creek begins at your front door, Chesapeake Bay watershed. This past summer, I was at the very beginning of the Colorado River watershed up in Grand Lake, Colorado. So we all need to know where that water comes from and then where it's going and our part in protecting that water. And so here's our 3 watersheds in DuPage County: Salt Creek, East Branch, and the West Branch of the DuPage. Salt Creek goes into the Des Plaines. Both the DuPage rivers end up in the Des Plaines. And of course, the Des Plaines ends up in the Illinois, and now it goes to the Mississippi. And look what it goes down to the Gulf of Mexico. This is a huge watershed. This watershed has 2 provinces in Canada, 31 states drain down the Missouri and the Mississippi rivers to the Gulf of Mexico. So from here, from DuPage County, we're about 1,100 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. And so when we're hearing about flooding along the Mississippi, that's a lot of the water that we are sending from our state down the Mississippi River, down to Louisiana and Mississippi and the Gulf of Mexico. So we all live downstream from somebody. What people are doing in Wisconsin, what people are doing in Minnesota, what we're doing here, we all live downstream from someone. So what we are putting in our water impacts wildlife, water quality, people, all the way downstream. So indoor, what can we do in our homes? What little steps, what big steps can we do to protect water quality and water quantity in our own homes? One of the things that is really important and timely for today's presentation is making sure that you take your medicines that you no longer need, medicines that expired, medicines that the doctor said don't take any more of that, it gave you a rash, outdated aspirin or vitamins, your dog's medicine, your cat's medicine, any medicine at all, any pill, liquid, and now even syringes that are pre-filled and EpiPens that have medicine. We have outlets for all of those. This coming Saturday is the National Drug Take Back Day. So many police stations, some fire stations will be taking extra hours to allow people to bring in their medicines for free. It's from 10 to 2. The national program runs twice a year, usually April and October. This Saturday is a really good day to help everybody have time to clean out their medicine cabinet. So the police stations mostly will be taking pills, but we are so lucky to have the sheriff's office here in DuPage County. The sheriff's office also takes syringes and EpiPens 7 days a week. There are several cities that have contracts with their haulers to take some of those syringes at their police department, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the DuPage County Sheriff Office allows you to drop off medicines, liquid medicines, as well as syringes and EpiPens. So the best way to do that is to put any vitamins, aspirin, over-the-counter prescription medicines into a Ziploc bag. Pill bottles are not recyclable and they would have your name on them and so forth. So put pills into a Ziploc bag altogether, that's fine. And then they have drop boxes that look a lot like this, where you can put those medicines so those are never poured down the drain anymore or flushed down the toilet anymore. We don't want EpiPens to go to a landfill where they'll get squished and the medicine in that EpiPen leaches down into our groundwater. We try to capture it all, but we know we don't capture it all. So make sure that you're thinking about medicines for your cat, your dog, yourselves, and don't let anything go down the drain or down the toilet at your homes. Green cleaning, one of the easy things to do and a cost-saving thing to do is to really read the labels on the supplies that you bring into your home that you want to clean with. If it tells you that after you use it, then you have to wash it down with soap and water to get rid of the chemical. If it tells you that you need to protect your eyes and you need to wear gloves to use it, probably something you don't want to use in your home. They even have enzymes now to help with the digestion of what's going down into the sewers from your drains and from your toilets. These enzymes are a lot safer for the environment, no caustic chemicals, and that will help us because even though we would love to have all of our sanitary pipes not leaking, a lot of them have old leaks. And so we want to make sure we're not putting anything down the drain that's going to get into our soils. So think about the things that you're buying. You can save money and protect our water quality. We are so fortunate here in DuPage County to have, I think, the state's best household hazardous waste drop-off site. It's in Naperville. It's a regional site, and it's open Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 2. They have quite a long list of the things you can drop off at the hazardous waste site. Right now, they're kind of in a pattern because one of the facilities that they use to send hazardous waste had a big fire. So if you go to the website at the hazardous waste site in Naperville, the regional household hazardous waste site, it will tell you the items that you can bring there right now. And they're hoping to be fully running again between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but it's really great that we have it. There's no fee. You do drive up Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 2, and they ask you your zip code. They're just trying to find out where people are coming from who are utilizing this facility. That will help them determine when they can build more facilities where they need to build those. We have a lot of folks who are wondering what to do with cooking oil, vegetable cooking oil, whether they fry a turkey or fry donuts, those kinds of things. Where can they take their cooking oil? It's a concern because when you put those cooking oils down the drain, you're going to clog your drains in your home, which is expensive and messy, or you're going to clog the community drains after it leaves your front yard going to the sanitary sewer pipes. And those clogs are pretty messy. And so it's expensive for you. It's expensive for the cities when they have to come and chop out the curbs in the street and chop out those pipes and cause those pipes to burst. And that impacts our water quality. So we wrote a law quite a few years ago, allowing not-for-profits and government agencies to collect cooking oil, vegetable cooking oil, so olive oil and avocado oil and grapeseed oil, all those different kinds of vegetable cooking oils. You can drop them off. We have 10 locations. When you drop them off, there's no fee. But we're going to collect those liquid oils, and they're going to be dewatered, they're going to be filtered, and they're going to turn into a biofuel. So right now we have these 10 locations in DuPage County that all partner with us to collect that cooking oil, to keep it out of the drains and reduce the clogs. But also the Saturday after Thanksgiving, that'll be November 26th this year, we are going to have our pop-up sites. So Elmhurst and Roselle are two of the cities that join us just for that Saturday after Thanksgiving. So if your family did fry a turkey, they have a place to drop off that 4.5 gallons of cooking oil, those kinds of things. This is a really inexpensive way to protect our water quality and to save broken pipes and those kinds of things. When we're talking about the clogs, we should really talk about wipes and dental floss. We recently took another tour of the Downers Grove Water Sanitary Treatment Center, and wow, they asked us, please tell people, do not flush wipes. I know a lot of the packages for wipes say that they're flushable. So yes, they go down, but then they stick to that cooking oil, whether it's vegetable oil or bacon grease, which we can't mix those two together at our collections, but then those clogs get bigger and bigger. I heard one time that there was a clog that was over 2,000 pounds in the city of London. So we don't want those wipes, and we don't want dental floss. We don't want paper towels to go down the toilet. It's going to cost you money, and it's going to impact our water quality, that's for sure. So when we're thinking about what we can do at home, when we visited the Downers Grove Treatment Center and when we visited the Woodridge Treatment Center, they kind of collect on the side little matchbox cars and fire engines, little Barbie shoes, all kinds of little things that people shouldn't flush down the toilet, but maybe those toddlers at home find it fascinating to flush something down the toilet. So all of that costs us money and impacts our water. So these are simple things that we can do so we don't clog our drains at home or for our community. Speaking of clogging our drains, plumbers will tell you that their bread and butter, if you will, is clogged sinks, kitchen sinks with garbage disposals. People don't use enough water to actually flush and move the food away from their drain. It takes about 8 gallons of water to flush just 1 pound of food through your system after the garbage disposal. So 8 gallons of water is a lot of water. There's other things we can do like composting, which would make a whole lot more sense. But if you are going to use a garbage disposal, the number one day and time for clogs is Thanksgiving. We've got butters and we've got gravies and we've got grease all of those things, probably a lot more starch because you've peeled a lot more potatoes. It's the #1 time for clogs across the country. So if we pay attention to how we're using grease and cooking oil, making sure it's not going down the drain, and if we make sure if you are using a garbage disposal to use enough water, you won't have those clogs. But if we compost, you won't need that garbage disposal at all. When you do use your garbage disposal, I know a lot of people blame golf courses and park districts and businesses that use a lot of fertilizer on those big algae blooms. But in fact, when you're using a garbage disposal, all of your food, every bit of food that you put down your garbage disposal has a little bit of nitrogen. And so when you're using a garbage disposal, you are contributing to those nutrients that are going to cause those algae blooms in our waters locally and all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, where we have that big dead zone that we talk about. So think about composting as one of the biggest ways we can help protect our water quality and water quantity. When you're shopping, yep, people buy organic for their own health, but it's really good to think about the whole picture. When you're buying organic, that means that farmer is using safer products to grow their food. So the food on the farm soil, the waters on the farm soil that run off, the fertilizers aren't as heavy, the nutrients aren't as heavy, the pesticides, all that is much less. So we're looking at organic food as a really big picture way of protecting our watersheds and our water quality. George Washington, this is a picture of his potato basket. In those days, in colonial days, when you used a pot of water, when you boiled a pot of water, of course, you had to cut the wood and boil it, bring the water to your home and then boil it. Well, they put their potatoes and things into a basket because once they've already heated that water, they've used the energy to heat that water. They're not going to waste that water. They're going to pull the potatoes out. And now that water has starch in it and nutrients, and it's going to be the base of their next soup or their next stew or something that they were making. And it was just in the news this weekend that if you're making quiche and you're defrosting that frozen spinach and you de-water it, you don't want too much water in your quiche, save that water, put it in the freezer for the next time that you are going to be making a soup, have all those nutrients from the spinach. A simple way to save water and kind of use that energy a second time. One of the things that I find most exciting and I'm most hopeful for is in the future, the opportunity to use gray water, water that's been used once already, and we can use it a second time. So for example, wouldn't it be great if every home, if their washing machine was hooked up to a tank, maybe in the basement, and you'd wash your clothes with soap, right, and vinegar, whatever you're using, and it would go into a tank in your basement or your crawl space. Then when you go to flush the toilet, that water would be the water that's flushing the toilet. That means we already used it to wash our clothes. Now we can use that water a second time to flush the toilet, right? And it's got some soap in it. It's got some vinegar in it. So it's going to clean the toilet every time you're flushing the toilet. Wouldn't it be cool if we could find easy ways to use our water a second time? It's a simple kind of thing to do, but it's really a smart thing to do. I know when I lived in Colorado, they had an opportunity, they had commercials talking about 1 drop of water and saving water. This is in the 70s. And they said, so when you're taking a shower, bring your wastebasket in the shower with you. So the water and the shampoo and the soap that runs off you goes into your wastebasket, washes it around, slosh it around, right? Clean your wastebasket using that water a second time. There's pretty creative people out there to help us figure out ways to use that water a second time. But I think someday, many, many more of our homes will have something like that. In my kitchen at home, the first thing I do in the morning is put the plug in the sink so that you wash your hands before you start making breakfast. When you finish your yogurt, you've got water in the sink already that you just use to wash your hands. It's got soap in it and it can help you rinse out that yogurt container. Use it a second time. By the time I'm done making breakfast, you pull the plug and the water goes down the drain. Some of that water was used a second time, saves money, saves water, and protects water quality. So there are ways to help reduce the amount of water that you're using at home so we can use less, conserve that incredible resource that we have. There's aerators and there's shower timers. Here in DuPage County, we have the DuPage Water Commission, and you can talk to them about getting a shower timer. Some talk about doing a 5-minute playlist for your music, but thinking about quicker showers saves water, right? Easy thing to do. So turn off the water while you're soaping up, get wet, soap up, shampoo your hair up, right? And then when you're all cleaned up, then rinse off that 5-minute playlist is right here. So it's a challenge. You can you take a 5-minute shower? I talk to high school kids and sometimes they say they take a shower until the hot water is all gone. It's about 40 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's a very long shower and a lot of water. Turn off the water when you brush your teeth. I mean, it sounds simple and we've been hearing it for years, but it's a lot of water people use when they leave the water running when they brush their teeth, up to 2 gallons every time. So if you've got 4 people in your family, and if 4 people twice a day brush their teeth, and it's 2 gallons each time, that's 16 gallons of water. So here's a challenge: take a 1 gallon water jug and have it in the bathroom. And just ask people to see how long we can use 1 jug. We want people to brush their teeth. We want people to rinse out the sink. But how many times can we brush our teeth with just 1 gallon of water? That'll help us think. There's no meter on your faucet in your bathroom, so we aren't seeing how much water we're using. But that 1 gallon jug challenge works really well for families to get us to pay attention. And then water efficient toilets. Some of these adaptations are just $50 to put it on your toilet, the green handles and so forth. You'll save a lot of water and save money as well. The low flow toilets using, less than 1.5 gallons instead of 4 gallons, and those kinds of things. Those are easy updates that we can do at home and in our businesses as well. Also at the DuPage Water Commission, you guys, you can get these little tablets. They have little cards and it tells you put 1 tablet in the tank, or you can use food coloring, right? Put 1 tablet in the tank, wait 30 minutes. If the blue tablet dissolved and blue shows up in your bowl in that 20 to 30 minutes, you've got a small leak. 1 in 5 American toilets is leaking. So it's an easy step you can take to see if your toilets are leaking. Save water, of course, save money, right? All the energy to pump the water to your homes. It's 1 trillion gallons of water a year, they think, is used in America just for leaking toilets. So the smallest of leaks you won't hear, you won't see them, but they're there just the same. So what if twice a year you checked your toilets with those leak detection tablets? Again, that's from the DuPage Water Commission. Make sure that when it's a big rainstorm and you're into your home, you can't garden, you can't play tennis or whatever it is you would like to be doing outside. Make sure you pick activities like organizing your sock drawer or vacuuming or dusting, rather than washing your dishes or running the washing machine. When we have a big rain event, we don't want to add more water to the system. We can all help reduce that amount of water that's going through the system just by doing, events that are activities at home that don't include water. I know, have you guys seen that commercial that says they run their dishwasher every night? There's one young lady on a sofa and she runs it every night. I mean, I don't know why they're doing that commercial. That commercial is all wrong. You only run your dishwasher when it's full. Yep, if it's full and it uses 4 gallons of water, that's great. But if you run it every night using 4 gallons of water, that's a lot more water use. Plus your dishwasher only has so many washes in it in its lifetime. So if you're running it every night to do a few dishes, that's just a waste of your machine. You're going to need a new machine sooner. You're also going to use a lot more of the dishwashing soaps, whether you use the pods or the liquids. It's going to be more expensive. And those chemicals, those soaps are going to be in our water. So only run your dishwasher, only run your washer when they're full. So that's kind of the indoor things that we've been talking about. How about what can we do outdoors? How can we do our part to protect our water quality outside? So we have a watershed model, we have a floodplain model, we have lots of models here at SCARCE at our education center, but this is what we bring out to community groups, park districts and schools and libraries, and talk to people about that word watershed and what it means and how we can protect our watersheds outside. And so it's looking like a bird's eye view of a community, and the participants, they use green Kool-Aid or those kinds of sugared powders to look like fertilizers. And after they have used those kinds of products, Kool-Aids and other things, oatmeal to look like litter, those little chocolate sprinkles to look like, goose droppings, then they spray it and they become the rainmakers. And they see the watershed, everything drains to the lowest point. And now that lake, while it smells good of chocolate and Kool-Aid kind of stuff, you don't really want to swim there. So it's people giving people a bird's eye view of their community, and we can look at what we're doing in our own homes. We know that DuPage County has flooding, Elmhurst and Wheaton and Glen Ellen and Carroll Stream and West Chicago. We all have some flooding. We're building bigger and bigger homes and wider driveways and bigger parking lots, wider roads, all kinds of things. And so there isn't as much place for the water to go when we have a rain event. With climate change, we're seeing bigger rain events, right? More often, instead of having a quarter inch of rain, we're getting fewer rains, but then 2 inches of rain and things like that. So I live in Wheaton, that's downtown Wheaton. When we had a flood a few years ago, 2013, a home in Lyle, the metro station in Downers Grove, you can take pictures all over the county. What can we do at home to reduce flooding around the county? And what can we do at home to make sure that when we have rain events, we're protecting that water quality? Native plants. One of the easiest things we all can do is plant native plants. Look at the root systems on those native plants, 15 and 18 feet down. So above the ground, those native plants, they've evolved with the pollinators at the same time. So the bees and the butterflies and the hummingbirds and all those things know where their food is, where the nectar is, when the different plants are blooming. And down below, those roots are opening up channels so when it rains, water can flow back down. So we created this exhibit here at SCARCE to just show you 15 and 18 feet deep roots for big blue stem, which is the state's grass, or white wild indigo, 15-foot deep roots. So those roots, 30% of them die every year. And so those open channels then allow rainwater to go back down through the ground where spores and silts and gravels and sands can help clean that water, direct it back down to the aquifer so we can have it to drink later. It's a pretty easy thing to do. What I like to tell people is you buy one big blue stem grass and you won't have to buy any more. It'll spread, it'll get larger, right? I have wild petunias, native wild petunias. I bought one plant. You can save a whole lot of money. They're drought resistant. So once you plant them and get them established, you don't have to water them as much. They know how to survive in Illinois weather. And they're opening breaking up the clay, opening those channels to help reduce the rainwater. Pretty easy thing to do, and it saves you money as well. Clover, you're going to see more and more park districts, particularly, and big stances of land adding some clover to their grasses. Clover doesn't need to be watered. It's food for our pollinators, and it doesn't grow too tall, so you don't have to mow it very much. So less mowing, no fertilizers needed, native to our area as well. Make sure if you are fertilizing your lawn, that you're using the right kinds of products. Phosphate free. You know, they took the phosphates out of our soaps because they weren't good for our water or for our wildlife. Well, the middle number in your fertilizer, if you're going to buy it, should be a 0. We have pretty good soil quality here in Northern Illinois. We don't really need too much fertilizer. Make sure you are a good citizen and a responsible pet owner, and clean up after your dog. I used to have 3 dogs, and twice a day they did their business outside. That was a lot to clean up, right? But we cleaned it up every single time. It's a pet owner's responsibility to clean up after their pets. 89 million dogs in America doing their business 2 or 3 times a day outside is a lot to clean up, and it is our responsibility to do that. When should you water? Thinking about water quality, well, make sure you look at the weather or listen to Tom Skilling. If he says it's going to rain, he's probably right. Use a rain gauge. Again, the DuPage Water Commission has rain gauges that residents can pick up and use, and we have them here at SCARCE as well. Because if you get 1 inch to 1.5 inches in the middle of the summer, you do not need to do any watering for your grass. And then water thoroughly. Make sure you water a long enough time so the water goes down. You can actually take a little shovel, a little spade, and dig a hole. And if water did not get down to darken that soil down below, you didn't water long enough. You need to water deeper and less often to make it all work. Sprinklers do not need to be on when it's raining. If you have a sprinkler system, make sure you get it checked so that you can manage it so it's censored. So if it's raining, the sprinkler system doesn't go on. In Arizona, they have big fines if you're watering what doesn't grow. So if you're watering your driveway, your sidewalk, your street, you're wasting water. Let's water only what grows. And then we can change how we mow. We certainly can mow with battery-powered lawnmowers. We can use hand-push lawnmowers, but make sure you leave the grass a little bit longer. 3 to 4 inches high means the roots will get deeper, right? And it will need less water. and you won't have to mow as long. When you do cut the lawn, leave the clippings on the lawn as the fertilizer. Rain barrels are a great way to help, whether we have them or painted at schools, whether you have multiple rain barrels. Rain that comes off your roof, you can use that in your garden, your vegetable garden, or you can use it in your native plant garden. Slow down that storm water, have less water running into our rivers and streams after a rain event. And it's getting that time to pay attention to your rain barrel. You don't want it to freeze and burst. So it's almost time to take those rain barrels, dry them out, empty them, dry them out, put them away for the winter. And then we've been working on garden hoses full of lead since 1987. Our garden hoses are full of lead. Unless you purchased a garden hose that tells you it is lead-free or PB-free, your garden hose has lead in it. The kids should never drink out of a hose. People shouldn't, your dog shouldn't, our bird baths shouldn't have lead in their water either. So if you haven't bought a lead-free garden hose, what a great Christmas present or holiday present, birthday present, housewarming present to buy somebody. If you look on the back of hoses, they have now information telling you that they have lead in the hose and it can cause learning disabilities and birth defects. It's right there. It's a big warning. But most people don't ever read that fine print on the back of a hose. They just buy a hose by the color or by the length or by the price. And we aren't paying attention to if it's safe for our families and safe for the water and safe for our environment. So more and more different brands and different styles have lead-free hoses options for you. It's a great way to protect your family and the environment. And then of course, composting, probably the thing that I care the most about is composting, returning nutrients, water, and mass back to our soil. It's pretty simple. Nature's been doing it for a long, long time. Nature does it in our forests, right? If as long as we don't ever break up our forests, but we're taking the nitrogens, the wet, the greens, and we're mixing them with the carbons, the browns, the dries, and we're coming up with a compost, a vitamin for our soil. And that vitamin for our soil is nutrient rich. That vitamin holds water. So when we have a rain event, it holds more water than the water running off of your yard. And that compost then keeps the soil under it a little looser, so it absorbs more water as well. Mixing them together is fantastic. So when we wrote the law for food scrap composting, it took a long time to get that law passed, you guys, but we're really thrilled to get it passed. And now we have over 75 communities in Northern Illinois that have food scrap composting at the curb. So look at all the DuPage County communities now. Some of them just started this year in 2022. We're grateful to have them on board. But if you can't compost in your backyard, now you can put your apple cores and banana peels with your grass clippings, with your leaves, with your garden. Then you take down your garden, your vegetable garden in the fall. And hopefully every town in DuPage County will soon have that added to their contract. We wanted a fun way to get people excited about composting. And so we started the pumpkin smash in 2014. This year we have, I have to look at it, 22 communities now in DuPage County. They'll have the pumpkin smash event at their park district, at a school, all kinds of opportunities. 69 in Northern Illinois. And then around the country, we have 73 that have registered with us to let us know that they've joined this. Pumpkins are 90 to 92% water. Illinois is the #1 producer of pumpkins in the whole country, about 500 million pounds a year of pumpkins. And so we're keeping that incredible water out of the landfill where it's only going to become leachate. We aren't making methane gas at the landfill, of course. Methane gas is anywhere from 26 to 84% worse as it contributes to climate change than CO2. So every time you compost at home, compost your pumpkins at home is great. But if you want, join us at the Pumpkin Smash. These are kids at Hinsdale South in Darien. They really go into the smashing of the pumpkins quite a bit. So we're excited. Itasca this year is having a catapult for their pumpkin smash. So fun ways to learn about composting and taking out the contaminants. So no candles, no stickers, no plastic ears or decorations. We trying to teach people that food scrap composting is just for the food. No plastic stickers, nothing like that. So when you're talking about the fall, which is coming up, the leaf removal, one, it's great to leave the leaves in your yard. If you have a gas-powered lawnmower or a battery-powered lawnmower, you can mow over those leaves and kind of make your own mulch, your own bedding that can then rest and help the roots of your plants rest and be protected from the freezes and the thaws and the cold of the winters, especially January and February. So that's a great thing to do with your leaves. But if you are going to rake up your leaves, please bag them in those brown paper yard waste bags. Do not rake them to the curb. Do not rake them to the storm drains. Storm drains are just for storm water, nothing else. So DuPage County's Stormwater Department has a great video on their website that you can check out and look for ideas of protecting your water, right? And getting rid of your leaves properly. So best thing, leave them on your lawn, mulch them up, right? Drag them and put them under evergreens. Drag them and put them in your garden, over your garden, make a nice bed covering, a duff layer, if you will, for your vegetable garden to protect the soil. Be mindful of your spills. When people do have gas-powered lawnmowers and snow blowers and weed whackers, they've done studies and they think it's about 17 million gallons of gasoline spilled in our yards, on our sidewalks, in our driveways from our lawn care equipment. We have battery-powered lawnmowers now that are very, very, very good, strong, doing the job a really good way. Sorry about that. And we have weed whackers that are battery operated. The batteries are so much better now than they were even just 10 years ago. So it's a great option. Plus, the electric lawnmowers are much quieter for your neighborhood. There's a lot of wins with taking care of your lawn with the battery-powered equipment. If you see stains in your driveway, oil leak, transmission leak, antifreeze leak, right? There's something wrong with your car, right? That's not going to be good for your car. But when it's on your driveway and we have a rain event or a snow event, that's going to wash into our stormwater. Now that's going to be non-point source pollution, right? We won't know exactly where it came from because there's a lot of people in parking lots at work and grocery stores and in driveways where a car is leaking. So it's better for your car to get it fixed right away, but it's way better for the environment as well to get it fixed in your driveway so it doesn't hurt our water. If you're washing your own car, using a lot more water than some of these new car wash systems. Some of these car wash systems use like 6 gallons of water to wash your car, which is pretty amazing. And then that soapy water that they use it a couple of times, and then that water gets pumped out and treated so that it doesn't go into our sanitary treatment center. But this way, if you are going to wash your car at home, please make sure you're using the safe kind of soap to use. Put your car on your grass, drive your car on your grass. And that way the water that you're using can soak into the ground. And since you're using a safe soap, a cleaning product, it won't hurt your grass either. So, but consider a car washing that uses very little water at all. Raining plastic. Have you guys seen this on the news? Those plastics that get littered, fall out of your recycling bin, fall off containers. Those plastics are breaking into tiny pieces, nanoparticles that we really can't see. They're so small and they're so lightweight, they go up with your with the evaporation, and they're coming down in rain and snow. Over the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, they are measuring rain and snow with plastics. Almost every event, they're finding plastics in our rain and in our snow. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part not to litter. And if there is litter, pick it up wherever we can. Tiny fibers from our washing machines. There's a lot of ways plastics are getting into our water. So we want to do what we can to prevent that. If you're a fishing person, make sure you pick up that fishing line and those lead weights for fishing. That's putting lead in the fish. If the fish gets away, then an osprey and an eagle eats that fish. That's lead poisoning. That's lead weights sitting in our water. There are ceramic weights. So holidays are coming, birthdays are coming. Think about ceramic weights for a fisher person in your house. And make sure if you are fishing that you are part of the solution in collecting that fishing line. We started something and we can call Pick Up 5. What if in America, 330 million people, what if on one walk a year, people picked up 5 pieces of litter, just one walk a year? That's 330 million times 5, whatever that number is, that's huge. That's huge amount of plastics and resources that won't be in our water, won't clog water systems, that kind of thing, won't entrap animals. And it's an easy thing to do. Pick up 5 kids in schools, parents, send us pictures then. And we don't put names out there, but we just say, these are the people helping us with the Pick Up 5 project. There's community cleanups, whether you're cleaning up the Prairie Path or the Great Western Trail, whether you're cleaning up in your own community, adopt a highway, adopt a stream, the river sweep, all of these ways are ways that we can help prevent those plastics and keep those chemicals from the plastics from being in our water. The Storm Drain Medallion Project is kind of new to DuPage County. I don't remember the year that we started it, but I learned about it on the East Coast in Maryland, and the DuPage Foundation helped us get it started, and we get money in our contract through the Stormwater Department, and we buy these medallions, and they're available to scout groups and church groups and high school environmental clubs to actually glue these medallions to the top of storm drains. And in English and in Spanish, telling people that you can't put anything down our storm drains. Storm drains are just for storm water. And I think when you get community members being active participants with these medallions, those families are going to know for sure not to put anything down the storm drains. And then people walking on the sidewalks, they're going to see those really nice blue and green and white signs in English and in Spanish telling you nothing can go down the storm drain. If you want to be part of that, let us know. We'd love to help this project grow. And then when businesses, schools, libraries have completed projects to reduce the amount of water they're using, to plant native plants, to install rain barrels, to install green roofs, permeable pavers, they can earn the DuPage County's water quality flag. This is a school in Carroll Stream earning their water quality flag. There's Chairman Jim Zay and the Mayor Frank and the Superintendent Bill. And businesses can earn the water quality flag as well. So we have, this is Antunis, a company in Carroll Stream that's doing a remarkable job in water quality, water conservation with the equipment that they build, as well as a reservoir that's in front of their building that they've been cleaning every year for 13 years. So we're glad to have them be partners here in DuPage County. We really need to think about the water cycle, whether it's rain, whether it's snow. What is our part? What are we doing to protect the water quality for today and for next week and definitely centuries away from now? What can we do at home? What can we do today? What should we be doing in schools and businesses, libraries and park districts? We're all part of the water cycle and we all want it to be clean. Our county fund helps us create 2 newsletters every month. And so the Green Bulletin is kind of for families and businesses and organizations. And Ripples is available for teachers and youth groups and folks working with kids for ideas for field trips and things like that. So we put out ideas about special events coming up. So coming up this Saturday is the Medicine Collection Day taking place around the country, but here in DuPage County, you can check it out on our website to find all the police stations and locations that are taking medicines back. And remember, the sheriff's office is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Then we've got the Pumpkin Smash coming up November 5th with 22 locations in our county to make it easy for people to drop off their pumpkins and help us make a great soil amendment. And then we have the cooking oil collection project the Saturday after Thanksgiving in the pop-up sites and also the 10 ongoing sites. All that information is on our website, and we're excited. We're very excited to get new groups joining us every year with the Pumpkin Smash and the cooking oil project. I have one thing that really didn't fit anywhere in my presentation that I wanted to talk to you about. When Thomas Jefferson was at Monticello, the Native American Indians taught him to use clay containers and to bury clay containers near his vegetables. And then you water them from the top. You bury this in the soil, and then just the top is sticking up. So put water there, and he was on the mountain, of course, Monticello, very hot in Virginia. The water will slowly come out of the clay and encourage the roots of plants to grow deep. So you need less water for those plants to grow and you don't have as much evaporation. Well, we're not on the mountain here too much, but when you're gardening at home or you're going to be on vacation, you can take water bottles and pop bottles and put a few holes in them. And before you plant your plant, put the bottle with the lid in your planter, right? Then you put the plant in and your soil in, take the lid off. Fill that bottle again with water. And when you're gone on vacation, those little drips are coming down. Of course, it was dripping at first, right? And then the roots will grow down and your plant will be watered and safe for you coming back from your vacation. Save water and save your plants as well. So just one little fun tip to do. So how are we doing? There's a lot of information pretty fast, right?
Yeah, Kay, that was great. I mean, that was a very thorough overview of what we can do in our homes, outside of our homes, in our communities. A very thorough, overwhelming amount of information right there. That was wonderful. Thank you very much. We do have a couple questions that came in. I'm going to read those to you. So are you aware of any kits you can purchase to connect your kitchen sink to your toilet to reuse that gray water?
Not yet, not in America. Europe has some. There are some toilets. There are some toilets that have a sink on the top of the tank. So when you wash your hands above the tank and the sink, that water then goes into the tank, and that's the water that you can use for the next flush. But a lot of people don't use a lot of water, so we need a bigger amount of water. That's why I'm talking about those tanks in your basement that then would be pumped up. We did have a home in Lincolnshire, Illinois. It was kind of a test, and they built that tank in their basement and they used it to flush their 2 toilets. And then they strained it. It went through a screen so they could use that water for washing cars and things like that. I don't know of any kit yet for you using your kitchen sink water or your dishwasher water to flush your toilets in America yet.
Okay.
Maybe they can think of one. Maybe they can design it. I love it.
Yeah, yes, I agree. But you know, these other tanks that you're talking about, would they just be installed by like a plumber?
Yeah, so ones that go on your toilet, I mean, it's pretty much you buy the toilet, the tank part.
Yep.
And the sink's on the top. The company was that was selling them was 7 Generations. It's a magazine, and 7 Generations. The American Indians said you base your decisions on how it impacts 7 generations from today. So that's the name of that magazine, that catalog. And so I'm sure you can probably Google it, but on the top of the tank, it's this little sink, and it's really quite clever.
All right, very good. Mary Beth had a question about where can I get the clover to plant on my lawn?
So you can order it, and there's a store in Carroll Stream that I use a lot, Barn Owl. They have 2 kinds of native clover. One is the purpley clover and one is the white. And so I'm sure big businesses order, tremendous amounts, park districts and so forth. But there you can order it, but you can buy it by the pound, and that's where we bought ours. And there's also now clover that you can buy that works in the shade. I have not had any time to research to make sure that that's a native clover. That would be my only concern about that, is making sure it's a native clover. But Barn Owl has 2 kinds, white and purple.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Scott had a question about can we publish a list of the native plants?
Publish the list that I showed here, or because there's a lot of northeastern Illinois native plants. Tell me what they mean.
I think they probably mean for everything in northeastern Illinois.
Yeah, I think we can, and I think that would be something that maybe we could add to the county stormwater website. Would be a great list of those native plants. And what I like is in Wheaton we have a native plant sale, a northeastern Illinois native plant sale. It's not a fundraiser; it's an education event the last Saturday of April. But I've been very excited. The Forest Preserve is now doing native plant sale. Some other groups are doing native plant sales, the Wild Ones here in DuPage County. So more and more organizations are focusing on northeastern Illinois native. We've been doing it in Wheaton for 23 years. So we're very excited that it's spreading. And what I like about the one that we do in Wheaton is we have plant specialists there that can help you, whether your yard is dry, whether your yard has wet spots. So you know the right kind of native plants and the root systems and who they feed to, which pollinators they benefit. So they answer all those questions for people. And we've got great signage that shows you the hummingbirds like this. So there's a lot of good information, but yeah, we can definitely post a list of those native plants. And every year in the spring, we announce all of the native plant sales so that we can help that project grow.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Scott also had a question, and he said, I saw West Chicago on the list of composting bins. Does that include unincorporated areas?
No, nope, not yet. Not yet. It doesn't. West Chicago is in their contract with Groot for food scrap composting. What we're working on right now, I don't know. DuPage County has been sending out postcards to residents in unincorporated areas to talk about their garbage collection systems, composting and recycling, so that we can reduce, we can better organize how many companies are going down a street. So instead of neighbors having different, choosing different haulers, maybe have one hauler for an area, reduce the CO2 and also reduce the wear and tear on the roads and get more comprehensive systems. So food scrap composting can be for unincorporated areas. The second thing that we've been talking about is having a food scrap transfer station where people could bring their food scraps to be collected, whether you live in a condo, an apartment, an unincorporated area that doesn't have that as an opportunity yet, a small business, bring your food scraps, your plant debris, so it can be collected. So we've been talking about a food scrap transfer station opportunity here in DuPage County. I'm crossing my fingers on that one. I want it to happen.
Very good. And just in the chat box, Chris Fenwick provided a site that shows the native plants that are for sale from the DuPage Forest Preserve for their sales. He says there's one in the spring, and he provided a list of all the 2022 native vegetation offerings. And I imagine just go to that website and you'll be able to check that out. So thank you, Chris, for doing that. I had a quick question. When you were talking about the vegetable cooking oil, and then when that's recycled or whatever, and they separate the water, what happens? You said they make like a biofuel. What happens with that biofuel?
So that biofuel is used to fly planes and drive cars. And of course, there's no petroleum there, so it's zero emissions for us. In fact, this past June, United Airlines flew a plane into O'Hare. The FAA wouldn't let them use 100% biofuel from cooking oil. So it's 50% biofuel, 50% jet fuel. And they flew into O'Hare and landed safely and all those kinds of things. So in Pittsburgh, the program is called Fry to Fly. So to fly more airplanes and to make less pollution. Dallas has a Ditch the Grease project. So a lot of places around the country are really focusing on capturing the cooking oil, right? So that we can fly planes, drive cars, make less pollution. Like you said, they drain out the water, they filter out the stuffing or turkey skin, whatever might still be in that cooking oil, donut debris, flour, they screen that all out so it's clean, ready to go, make it into a biofuel. And the company that we use in DuPage County is called Green Grease. And they've helped us since the very beginning of this project. So they're the ones that drive around to the permanent locations as well as the pop-up locations and gather that. We do have the Downers Grove Water Sanitary Treatment Center and the Glenbard Wastewater Treatment Center that are actually using the cooking oil that they collect to run their equipment on their sites to reduce their carbon footprints and the work that they're doing. So then it doesn't have to be transported anywhere else. So that's very exciting.
Well, great. Thank you, Kay. I mean, that's all great information. I love your energy, all your ideas and insights on everything. I mean, I want to post, when my kids are home, I want to put a timer on the shower now.
Yeah.
5 minutes is all you get. Yeah, that's just great ideas and great things to think about. I don't see any other questions right now in the chat box. Kay, thank you very much. That was a great presentation. And I always love hearing you speak. Again, you have such enthusiasm and energy when you're doing your speaking. You do a great job. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much. I love what I get to do. And I feel so privileged to work with you guys so closely. I love what I get to do. And I love what our whole team gets to do for the residents of DuPage County and today and the future of our planet. So the enthusiasm is genuine. I got to tell you that. I love what I get to do. Thank you very, very much for inviting me today.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. And again, thank you to all of you that were able to join us this afternoon. Please remember, Mary will be sending out, she'll email everyone a link to the webinar. She'll send a link to the presentation or a PDH certificate for all those that participated. Right now, we don't have a date yet for our next webinar, but stay tuned and we'll get you that information very soon. But that's all we have. Thank you very much again. Everyone have a great day.
Bye-bye.